Some highly practical business analysis, mind maps. A great little technique that has a wide range of applications and can be done quickly and efficiently, but also add quite a lot of detail if needed. It has a wide range of uses. It can be used for things like stakeholder analysis or analysing requirements. And in fact, it's widely used outside of business analysis in areas such as sales and marketing, anywhere that needs a bit of creativity. So this session will cover how to draw up a mind map, and it includes quite a detailed practical case study exercise that you can work through, and you can also download a more detailed version of that from the resources section. So take a look at the slides and have a look at the example and enjoy, and any questions, get back to me. Welcome to Getting Started in Business Analysis Mind Maps. A mind map is a diagram that's used to capture and organise information visually. Now shortly we'll work through an example to illustrate that further, but to start with, these diagrams have many uses in business analysis for documenting interviews, workshops, meetings or other fact-finding events, getting a grip on requirements, processes and business data, and doing stakeholder analysis. A mind map is a relatively informal, fairly high-level diagram that can be done relatively quickly. So they don't capture a huge amount of detail, but they provide a very good basis for doing more detailed analysis using more structured techniques such as use case diagrams or data models further down the line if needed. So they provide a very good start point for analysis of anything. These diagrams can initially be drawn fairly informally by hand, just using pen and paper during a meeting, planning session, interview, workshop, or similar events. Then, if needed, you can expand on them by adding more detail and supporting text, and possibly using an automated computer-based tool to smarten them up a bit. So, mind maps are a great technique, relatively fast to do and relatively easily understood. All diagrams in analysis are communication tools, and a mind map is fairly easy to communicate to other business analysts, but also other stakeholders such as business managers or end users. In general, in analysis, visual documents are easier to talk through and review than masses of text. So we'll move on to how to draw a mind map. You start with a blank piece of paper and you draw a single box or shape in the centre of the page that represents what this mind map is about. You then add associated ideas shown as images or words, and then link them together simply with lines. So we'll now take a look at a case study example. Hotel booking and administration system. Imagine you're involved in a new project to develop and potentially implement a new system for a hotel that's fairly wide in scope. At least initially, it's planned to include bookings, finance, general hotel operations day-to-day, and general administration. Now, one good starting point in business analysis, not the only one, but a good one, is to identify the stakeholders for the project. And a good way of doing this is to draw up a simple mind map. So that's what we're going to look at. This is an example of a mind map that I've simply drawn up by hand and then captured images to show you how the diagram is put together. So this is a mind map showing the stakeholders for the hotel project. And a simple start point is to draw an ellipse or a box, whatever, in the middle of the page with the word hotel. The next step is to add associated ideas to the diagram. So this is a mind map of stakeholders for the hotel, and two groups of stakeholders might be staff, people who work at the hotel, and customers, people who stay in the hotel or interact with it in other ways. So they can be added to the diagram. You then use lines to connect associated ideas or things together and expand on the diagram. So here I've added suppliers as another possible group of stakeholders and linked them along with customers and staff to the central idea, hotel, in the middle. So major ideas are connected directly to the central concept. So here we've got three groups of stakeholders, suppliers, customers, staff, connected to hotel in the centre. Then you can begin to branch out and add more detail. So here, for example, I've broken down staff stakeholders into 4 separate groups: reception staff, restaurant and bar staff, housekeeping, and back office administration. And they're added to the diagram linked to the staff box, as you can see. You can then continue to add more ideas and more detail. So here, for example, if you look to the lower left of the diagram, I've broken down the customers group of stakeholders into more detail. Individual customers, simply individuals or families who've booked into the hotel. Corporate customers, companies and other organisations who use the hotel for business purposes, whether for accommodation or functions or other things. And groups, what I mean by that is interest groups. So for example, a group of people on a walking holiday or a sports club attending an event or similar. You can then continue to add more levels of detail as needed. So here I've broken down the staff side of things to a 4th level of detail. You'll see towards the right hand side I've broken down reception staff into the concierge team and the front desk, restaurant and bar staff into kitchen staff, the chefs and so on, front of house, which I've shown here as FOH, a common abbreviation used in the hotel trade, essentially means waiting staff and others who work the tables and look after customers directly. And bar staff, people who serve the drinks. You can then continue adding more and more detail to the diagram as needed. There comes a point where you've captured enough detail for now and you can stop. And of course, if you continue on to too much detail, you're facing what some people call paralysis by analysis. There comes a point where you need to say, I've captured enough detail, we'll move forward from here. Now, important note, I have put together some key point notes, which breaks down the steps and the example into a little more detail. So please download and read and review the key point notes that are attached to this lecture. So, mind maps, like other diagrams in analysis, are a really useful tool for communication. They're easier to review than masses of text. So what you could do now is take the diagram that you've drawn up to other members of the project team and maybe some of the other stakeholders, like members of the hotel staff, and talk them through it, review it, find areas that you've misunderstood, areas that need expanding on, and generally improve it to capture a full view of the stakeholders for the project. You can then amend the stakeholder diagram as needed, expand on it further, review it again, until you reach the point where you feel that your mind map has captured a full view of all the stakeholders for the project. And then in terms of the next steps on the project, that mind map will be a very good basis for further fact-finding. Interviews, workshops, other techniques to discover more about what the system requirements are and what the priorities are.